Hey, I almost want to come through the gate. I can't get into the village, it's closed. Oh, hang on. Coldred, Kent's best kept village, Kent rural community. That dates back to 2014. So, it's a beautiful sunny day. Why not Coldred? It's a very tiny village. There's not a lot going on, but there are some historical facts and some comparison photographs. I've sourced online some old black and white images, so I thought maybe I could try and capture the same image, but in 2025. So we're going to do Coldred. We could start here because the road coming into Coldred has this lovely avenue of trees, which would be great in the winter. Now, I think these are lime. So I'm just going to poke the camera there and try and get the leaf. I think that's a lime. The wind's catching it. Let's get this one. So displaying that compared to the chart that I found, it's either a poplar or it's a lime. But before we take a photograph of that, let me take you first of all back to the historic village sign and have a quick look at that. I'm pretty sure we can get all the information we need about the village on this sign. Now, I made a mistake because I thought that these historic village signs potentially dotted all over the UK. But actually, it says here, research and photographs supplied by Dover Museum, designed by Dover District Council Creative Design Services, produced by Dover District Council. So what that's potentially telling me is that these historic village signs relate to Dover and the Dover District. And I'm pretty sure other districts and other councils will have put their own historic things. Anyway, let's have a quick look, see what it's offering. Coldred is one of the highest places in East Kent, nearly 400 feet above sea level. Its name comes from the Old English for charcoal burning, once a local industry. The village is also said to be named after Coldred, king of Mercia, who came here in AD 715 to assist the Kentish men against their oppressor, Ina, king of the West Saxons. They fought a large battle in Woodensborough. So the history goes back to 715 AD. The cottages and pub around the village green date to the early 17th century. That's the Carpenter's Arms. And there's several cottages which we can take pictures of there, dotted around. It's quite a sparse little village, actually. We will visit St Pancras Church because it says here mostly Norman but has Saxon remnants, and foundations are said to be Roman. St Augustine himself is said to dedicate the church here. Something about the chancel has one of the oldest bells in Kent cast before 12 AD. Now the story goes that a storm in 1936 brought the original bell, which was cast before 12 AD, down. And actually on this picture from 1914, the bell sits there and it's now inside. So if it's open, we shall go and take a look. And I think there's also some history about, what am I looking at? There was a colliery a colliery here. One of Kent's first coal fields commenced in 1906 and produced no coal commercially and closed in 1921. The colliery was named after the Earl of Guilford, who lived in Waldershire Park. Now, I'm here. I've got to do a few pictures here. I've got to go up to St Pancras Church. Then there's that footpath that goes off into the distance, but it's a North Downs way, public right of way. And you can see Waldershire House or Park. It's just a glorious manor house that I didn't even know existed until I started investigating the village. So let's go back up to the start and take some pictures of those trees. I can't get over how busy it is, but the A2 is just there. So nothing coming that way. I want to try again, at least get one shot of the poplar trees or the elm trees, whatever they are. I think it would look lovely. And I like all the trunks. Oh, absolutely brilliant. First time. I'm going to take a 3-shot pano just so that I can get the full aspect of it as well. I don't even know if I was in the shot. That always happens with me. I get the camera going. So let's take a walk through and see what we can spy. And looking out in the field, a lot of cattle, potentially some bulls in there. We're not going in. Whoa, look at the big beasts. I know quite a few vloggers that I follow, Glenn from Black Crag, and potentially Henry Turner. Whenever they see the cattle, they're like, oh, trembling in the knees. Let's go through the village. Caution ducks crossing. I never know if you should be cautioning them. Now I'm telling you, ducks, if you continue doing this... oh, just being silly. Agriculture. I told you it was going to be farmland. Look at those bales of hay getting ready. With the tractor. I think it's aesthetically pleasing. I'm shooting in shutter priority. And I'm basically running it at... Should I? Let's go to aperture. Let's put f16 in there. I'm going to turn off white balance so that it's not on cloudy, because it's a super fine day. So I think actually what I can do is just leave it on auto. If I want to enhance any of the colours, i.e. bring out oranges and the like, then I'll just do that in post-processing. Yeah, a bit of farmland right into the village. I really do think I'm going to get some nice landscape images in this video shoot with the trees and everything. See the cottages at the end there. Just ever so busy. But part of the excitement sometimes is just getting out and doing a walk. And you never know what you're going to come up against. You never know what you're going to find. And you won't capture a good image if you're just stuck indoors. Now, I was processing a video this morning for my other channel. And I thought, do I go out and do a video for the photography? But you've got to keep the momentum going, haven't you? Camper vans. Causing congestioning. I think this is a major cut through off the A2 so that you can get through to the likes of Woodensborough and Sandwich and all that kind of stuff. I like this, the old tyre. Slow ducks crossing, it says. So what have we got here? Just farmland. Yeah, more farmland. Nothing for photography, I don't think. I mentioned that I'd scouted some old photographs, and there are quite a number of really old ones. We're talking 1900s. So what I'm going to do is situate myself in a position where I think at least one or two of them were taken, and see if I can recreate. Let's have a look here. So will this work? There's the scene. Can you see it? That's the scene that I've got in my mind. It's got the pub and the cottages and the edge of the pond. I've got to tell you about the pond. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about the history. Anyway, let's get a photograph of this. So we got the free house, the Carpenter's Arms, the cottage. Let me just size this up. I can come out at 18mm and then crop in the image if I need it to make it look more in tune with the original. So here's the original on the screen, and here's my adaptation. I think it works. Now, I forgot to mention the pond, which has a very nice... You've heard of a dovecote, where the doves live. I think this is a duck coat. And they've put all this, what do you call it, barrier stuff all around. All the ducks are on it. Now, what's so interesting about this pond? Let me tell you. In the 1600s, the English people were a superstitious lot. And if you've ever been to Canterbury, one of the little, I wouldn't call them canals, but they call Canterbury like the Venice of England because of all the little rivers going through. There's a ducking stool for witches. Now, just here in the 1600s, a lady called Nell Garlinge, she was dunked for being a witch. And they used to do witch trials here. And what they would do, they would tie the thumbs to the toes, but in a cross fashion, and it was called sink or swim. So unlike the ducking chair where they dunked them, and I don't know how long they kept them underneath, but you know the story. If they drowned, they were not a witch. If they came up and were breathing, they were a witch. Catch-22, you die or you die, right? However, the sink or swim method was that if they immediately submerged, and I'm just proposing here, that if they gave them a certain amount of time and then someone went in and retrieved them, they were deemed not a witch because they didn't float. So the theory is sink or swim. If you go in and you sink, you're not a witch, but if you go in and you float, you're a witch. So there. Right, let's get a picture of the duck coat. Lovely. Look at the little ducks and ducklings. There's some tiny ones over there. See if I can zoom in. It's a tiny village, but it has all this traffic going through. I'm forever finding traffic. Here's the Carpenter Arms. Dates to the 1760s, I believe. And it does mention on the history plaque there that above the mantelpiece is an etching giving the actual date. Looks just like a house, doesn't it? Right, I'm going to go across the village green because there are some rather fine houses here. See if I can get a shot or two. Look at that tree, isn't that beautiful? With the cottage. Got to be worth a shot. Lovely sunshine. Look at that house, front door right onto the green. Coldred House, I think there's some historical fact with that. This one's weird, because it's like the front door comes out onto the green. Grab a quick shot of that. Situated hidden in the trees. Strange. Last shot then, Coldred House. I feel like I'm an estate agent, but I've got cables, so I need to go forward just to lose these cables that are going over. I can clone them out, obviously, but it's harder to clone them out when I've actually got them crossing the front of the house. Right, I'm going to jump in the car and go down that lane because it's like 1.5 miles. I don't feel like walking 1.5 miles. So we're going to head to St Pancras Church. There's the church. It really was too far to walk. Takes a moment in the car. So I'm at the corner of Single Edge Lane, Church Road. The church is just behind the trees here. And this whole area was originally, and we're talking AD 700, the site of a Saxon fortification. So we're going back into Coldred. I was right on the edge. Now I don't know if the church itself will be open, but we can at least go in and take a look around. Some fascinating structures here. The gate is semi-open. Look at that. I think the story goes that it's an old Saxon, Norman and Saxon church situated on original foundations of Roman. However, it went out of use, and then in the 1800s they renovated. Might see something about that in there. Now there is an old photograph on the website taken about here, probably from this exact scene. I'll put it on screen now and see if I can replicate it. Yeah, why not? So the Great Storm of 1936, the original bell, you can see a replica up there. The original bell cast around the 1200s came toppling down. And so they built a new one. And in fact, the old one is sitting here. So we're going to have a look at that in a minute. Let's just have a quick look around. Oh, look at that. Isn't that fascinating? What do you think that was originally? An old barn? I love how it's propped up on stilts. I have to take a photo of that. The old original Coldred Manor House was there that Lord Guilford lived in. You can just see the roof, but that's all private. And this will have been part of it. And Lord Guilford was the one who tried to build the colliery, and the colliery was named after him. Closed after less than 20 years. Not producing any coal at all. Let's see if I can get a shot of this somehow. I do love finding out history of these little villages. So if I can get a shot of it without standing on someone's grave, without the house, just the barn on stilts. Quick tour around the church, you never know, might be something worth taking a photograph of. Got the old gravestones here. No Commonwealth grave here. 1890 it says on the door. Look at that, it looks like something from a Sergio Leone movie, doesn't it? With the church at the top. Right, shot of... You know, I can't even take a shot of that. And the reason is there's a telegraph pole. Or a power pole right in front of it. Would have made a nice shot. However... Yeah, it's not even a good angle, because you want the entrance, don't you, in a shot. I do think it's all important when you're taking a photograph of an old building like this, as I did from over there, to incorporate the front door, because I think it's kind of like the heart of the church. I'm just going to see if it's open. Let's go inside. It's locked. Keine Bewegung, as they say in Germany. Oh well. Save that one for another day. The church, the bell looks something like that. So I was here the other day scouting it. I should have videoed it then. Okay, so the last two parts for this village, because there's an historic connection to the colliery, just down the lane where I've parked, are some remnants of the old colliery, which they've turned into residential. So we'll have a look at them, and then I'm going to go down the North Downs Way, bit of a trek, bit of a walk, See if I can capture a shot of Waldershire Park, the manor house. It's all go. So it could be a bit of walking for me, but I might just leave the car where I've parked it and we'll just take a track down the country lane. Now, I noticed this the other day when I was driving down here doing my scouting session. I got past this bush and I spied that building right in the midst of the trees. I thought, what on earth is that? And that's when I found out about the colliery. But isn't this amazing? The wheat, the tractor circle around the tree, and that building. So here's my first landscape shot, I think. Capture it with the tree and the building and the blue sky. And I will use the movie mode in a second, just to zoom in and see what on earth that is. That's at 200mm. What do you think that is? It's quite bizarre, isn't it? It must... maybe it's actually part of the old manor house. Maybe just here. Oh, you can't see my hand. I'm talking about just there. It looks like it's got some pillars. Isn't that a wonderful shot? I love the tractor trails. It's like a leading line taking us into the field, and they're further down there. Let's see if I can do you a live view. I don't know if you'll see it, but I'll take a shot nonetheless. Right, let me take you down there to the colliery building and you can tell me what the building is, because I've got no idea. So I think what I might have to do is this section just as a drive-by without even taking a photograph. I just want to show you the building. I think it's quite majestic in its, what would you call it, 19th century industrial appearance. If they opened the colliery in 1902 and closed it in 1921, then it's Victorian. Well, when did she die? 1901 or 1902? There's a better picture of that structure just there. I might stop and just take a shot through the car window. Anyway, we get up this hill. This is like my Drive with Care videos without me being on the screen. So all of this would have been colliery area. Can you imagine it? Right, just where these houses are for sale, I'll drive slowly by. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I can certainly swing around so that you can see it. Look at that building up there. It looks like something from up north. You wouldn't expect it down here in the, the beauty of Kent. Stunning looking building. It is actually a wedding venue. So we'll drive down there. It's a little magical mystery tour, this. Just so that you can see it from the front. And I might just swing the camera around a little so that you can see it as we drive by. Hopefully it's picking it up. Isn't that stunning? There's a car coming. Drat and double drat. Go in. Look at that structure though, isn't that wonderful? That's a wedding venue. What are you going to do? Private place, and I can't take a photograph of it. Pedestrianis everywhere. Right, I was going to walk down to Waldershire Park, wasn't I? I wonder if I still want to do that. let's start it and then see how far we get. If I lose my mojo and I just couldn't be bothered to do it anymore, then I will give up. Now, I'm holding my DJI while I'm reversing here, and there's nothing in the rule books that say you can't hold a DJI, as far as I know. Obviously you can't hold a mobile phone. Yeah, so stopping this bit, and we're going to walk through the woods. Well, guess what? I've decided I'm not going to walk 1 mile, maybe 2 miles that way, to just do 2 miles back, just to get one photograph of the house. Here's a picture of what it looks like. And because it's already 5:10, and I've been in Canterbury today, and I've been editing videos this morning, and I've just, you know, you get worn out. You do. Maybe I shouldn't do 4 YouTube channels. But my interests are so diverse that I can't combine them all into one channel. So that was Coldred, a rather lovely village, although perhaps not as enchanting as Chilham. But nonetheless, a historic village of Kent. And what am I thinking? It had the witch's trial. It had the Guilford Colliery. You saw the building. And, yeah, quite a few old... Well, yeah, actually, even the church and the Saxons at AD 710, was it? Or 790? Kent is steeped in history, isn't it? I think I'll try and find something a little more interesting and not so spread out. Let me have a think. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Bye for now.